to rejoice in something higher, to live in accordance to that higher self, that higher version of you that is closest to the God. That is what it means to be fulfilled in your endeavors of walking in spirit and truth. You see, there are many people who are over encumbered by the tragedies of their own life and the trauma of their own life. And something that celibacy teaches you is that sex is a playfulness. It is not something to pervert. It is not something to gloat over. It's not something to be excessively rough with necessarily. I suppose you could be if you want to, but sex is something that is more of a sacred experience between two people. And this is something that many have neglected in this day and age due to social media and the construct of this reality ever impinging itself upon the fibers of your thought algorithms to ensure that you neither see the truth, hear the truth, nor even feel anything remotely to it. They do not want you to feel anything that is in accordance to spirit and truth, because that would mean that you would wake up from the trance. You would wake up from the system in which these elites have so perfectly enslaved you. And something I was thinking about today is, what? Someone working a job? I just see someone selling their soul and renting their soul. This is all obviously something that is very potent in the Bonely Cans industry. And the Bonely Cans industry is thriving off of the selling of love. Love has become an object in the marketplace. And it's very difficult to, once that is the case, to have it put back in its proper place. But the thing is that love is beyond everything that we see, and it's unfathomable to us, and it's infallible in its perfect form. But nobody really knows what its perfect form is. We can only experience it here and there throughout life. And if you've had at least one moment in your time, on your timelines that you've lived, if you've had at least one moment where you felt the true love of whatever you want to call this reality and this truth, because reality and truth are not the same necessarily. And to believe otherwise is to have a belief system. And if you have a belief system, you're going to corrupt yourself down the line, because it's not to say that you shouldn't believe in yourself. It's not to say that it's necessarily bad to have belief systems, but sooner or later, the belief system can only get you so far. You might believe that you are capable of doing X, Y, or Z, and you might believe that you're wanting to do, A, B, C, but who are you really? And what are you truly about? This is something that many of us want to neglect. We don't actually want to think about these things because it holds up a spiritual mirror in real time to us. Perhaps it would be better to call it true time, because in true time, it's timelessness, and in that timelessness is love. But we can't really describe it. And yet we have men who are encouraging women to degrade themselves by using Bonely Cans and prostitution and all this other stuff. And we have the women who they have sold the most important part of their lives and what they have to give. All for what? And when you're celibate, you start to see just how corrupt the society truly is in this regard, and the perversion that has taken place. And you see how the elites, and I'm not saying it's the elites' fault necessarily, because look, peasants are going to do peasant things as well. But I don't necessarily think that it's always going to be the burden of the peasant. Like, is it the burden of the peasant to carry if the peasant is being deceived by the elites? I don't know. I don't think so. Because the peasant doesn't really know anything else, and the peasant doesn't know what else to do. But it is the catastrophe of the inability to discern what exactly is going on that makes this a traumatic experience. And the traumatic experience then induces the ability to control people. If you can induce trauma into the population, whatever kind of trauma it is, and especially when it comes to love in the marketplace as a form of trauma, you can manipulate anybody. You can manipulate anything, really. Think about all of the, once corn stars that are coming out now and acting as though they are victims to the degeneracy of what had to happen. There was a video that I saw about a week or so ago, and it was this allegedly this once very famous corn star, and she was telling the therapist that she had, apparently, about the trauma that she had to endure and how she didn't really want to do this scene that she was being coerced into doing, and yet she did it anyway. And it was one of the most, degrading things that she's ever had to do. The thing is that I don't see that this is on, she willingly walked into that situation. She didn't have to. She knew what she was getting herself into. It's almost as if you're walking into a candy store telling yourself that you're not going to eat any candy. Why would you do that? Oh, I'm going to go to this candy store, and I'm not going to buy any candy. I'm just going to smell all the candy that I can. That's not how anybody really does anything. You don't go to a candy store telling yourself you're not going to buy any candy. These women who are so entitled and so perverse in their own ways are now using forms of godliness against their own selves to make themselves into a victim. And I see this as something despicable, and I see this as something that is terrible to happen to the civilization. However, what is there to be done? The only thing that we can do, as men specifically, is start to practice celibacy and only offer ourselves, because I don't think that women are the gatekeepers of sex. I see men as the gatekeepers of sex. And the reason is because we are the ones that have swords. We are the ones that do the penetration. We are the ones that break down the walls. You want to talk about gatekeepers? Now, it's not to say that women are unable to close their legs. Many women just aren't able to close their legs because they're SLUTs. But it is simply a fact that the practice of celibacy will purify your mind, it'll open your heart, and it'll help you see to a realm beyond good and evil, to a place of timelessness. The Regal change old timers. Regal change. I'm still getting over my cold. Feeling a lot better today. I do appreciate everybody that reached out about getting well soon. I was able to go to the gym and did what I could today at the gym. And then when I got home, I took a 2-hour nap. So everything is slowly but surely getting better. And I feel more calm, I feel more collected, I feel more at ease with existence, I feel more at ease with myself. And I genuinely believe that one of the reasons is because of my practice of celibacy. I think practicing celibacy makes life a little bit less stressful. Because I've been very, very stressed recently. And I genuinely think that that's one of the reasons why I developed this soul reformation. I don't call it a sickness, I call it a soul reformation. And so the soul reformation process that's occurring is one of the reasons why, is because I was so stressed. And thank goodness and godliness that we are where we are today, and that the wins that we are getting and the wins that I have gotten recently are the ones that I needed the most. And I'm very grateful for that. And I don't think it would have happened, though, without celibacy. I don't think that, because I've been celibate and practicing semen retention for nearly 4 years now. Well, at least semen retention 4 years, celibacy 5. And I don't really miss it. I don't really miss it because I see that there's something more when it comes to sex. I see that there's something playful to be had. The best people who are actually integrating their sexuality see it as a sense of play. Don't need to be so serious. You don't need to be so rough about it. You don't need to be so perverted when it comes to it. And as I was saying with the Regal change old timers, you'll know that this is something that I talk quite a bit about. And I encourage everybody to at least go through a season of this. And if you can't go through a season, I don't think that you're really awake. I don't think so. I think you're awakened, perhaps. But are you awake? I don't think so. Because why would you listen to somebody talk about spiritual endeavors and spiritual ways and modes of being if they themselves have no control over themselves? Why would you listen to somebody like that? Why would you think in your right mind that anybody who cannot control themselves has any ability to guide you on your path? It's almost as if it's like somebody telling you to stop and smell the fragrance of the flowers, only for you to stomp all over them and mess them up and, take a shovel and destroy them. They can't appreciate the flowers because they don't know what the flowers really mean. They don't really know what the meadows. Have you ever been to a meadow? There's a beautiful meadow up the canyon here where I'm living, and of course it's very rainy and snowy today, but during the summer months, there's this beautiful place, and you can go backpacking there. And there's this beautiful meadow at one point. Like, you hike over some mountains, and then there's this beautiful, vast meadow. I mean, I've seen all kinds of animals in that meadow too during the summer, all different kinds. And I even did a hike and a backpacking trip during the nighttime one time during college here. And I went to that place, and I could have sworn at one point I saw eyeballs everywhere in that meadow area. Because I looked around with my headlamp on, and I could see eyeballs everywhere. I don't know what they were exactly, but in the daytime I've seen other kinds of animals. Beautiful place. Vast, beautiful pink, yellow flowers. Very tall grass. And this serenity. And he who and she who has not controlled their lust. It would be like walking into a meadow and not knowing you're in a meadow. It would be so fixated on the path, the next step in front of you, that you don't even recognize where you are. Because all you can look at is what's 2 feet in front of you. This is what many people fail to understand and to realize. And so they look at these people online, and they look at the proclivity that these people have to gain attention and followers and clout and all these things, and they think to themselves, oh, this person must be an authority figure. When in reality, they do not practice anything of what they preach. And I don't even preach. I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to save you. I'm not here to convert you. I'm here to open your mind. I'm here to help you see that there's something beyond what's 2 feet in front of you. You might be standing in a meadow surrounded by beauty, and you don't even know it because you're so focused on your visual of what's next in front of you. When in reality, you don't hear the wind blow in the meadow. You don't smell the fragrance of the flowers. You don't smell the wind. Because you can smell the wind, I swear. You don't feel the ground beneath your feet when you walk. You don't feel the air moving in between your fingertips as you walk. You don't feel the taste of that dirt as you hike, and the wind kind of picks up and you can taste that little bit of dirt in your mouth to know that you're truly in nature. You're not aware at all. And yet you think that you can help people control themselves. And then on the flip side, people believe that when it comes to the perversion of sexuality, they don't know how to play in the meadow. They just stomp on everything, and they try to kill the animals for no real reason. They just think it's fun. We live in a sad time, but that does not mean that we don't get to be joyful about our own lives. Because we are not here to save the world. We are not here to convince anybody of anything. We are simply meant to protect the divine light within us and to live a prosperous life in accordance to that which is good, true, and beautiful and righteous. So with all that being said, I hope that this message was useful and insightful for you. Check out the Godlike Mastery program that I have, or a one-on-one session, or join the Regal Change Academy for free. We have the free tier where you can get access to the community. And then we have the premium tier where you get access to the community as well as the calls and the classes. And with all that being said, peace. Until next time.